So we today are doing like an introduction to graphing on the coordinate plane, because everything for this next unit, almost everything, I think all but one day maybe, you are going to need graphs on the coordinate plane. So we're going to flip this open. This right here is a blank coordinate plane. On our coordinate plane, there are a lot of pieces that we need to know what they are. That's why we've got these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 arrows here. So we're going to use these 7 arrows, and we are going to label some different pieces of our graph. So first piece of our graph is our x-axis. Our x-axis is this line right here. It's labeled by this arrow right here. So write down x-axis. And then in parentheses underneath that, write the word horizontal. So our x-axis is horizontal. This line right here, this is our y-axis. And our y-axis is vertical. So our x-axis is horizontal, our y-axis is vertical. Those two axes make our graph. When you take those two axes is just plural of axis. When you take both of those, they chop our graph into 4 chunks. Those are the quadrants of our graph. So quadrant, if you think about the prefix QUA, quad, just like a quarter, quadrilateral, 4 sections. Our quadrants get labeled, and they start here, and they go around this way, so it's a little different. So this is quadrant 1. And then our top left quadrant is quadrant 2. But when we label our quadrants, we use Roman numerals. So you use like 2 tallies. So that's 2 in Roman numerals. So quadrant 1, quadrant 2, bottom left is quadrant 3, and so that would just be 3 tallies. And then our bottom right is quadrant 4. In Roman numerals, 4 is line V. So it's IV. Because 5 is V, and then the line in front of it takes away 1 from it.
Basically 1 less than 5.
Yep. There's only 4 quadrants, because you split something into 4, then there's 4 quadrants. Okay, so we've got quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Along our 2 axes, one direction is negative and one direction is positive. So along our x-axis, to the right is positive, so I want you to put a plus sign right here. And to the left is negative, which makes sense because that's how a number line goes. Because essentially each axis is just a number line, and then they intersect each other. Okay. Then for our y-axis, the top is positive and the bottom is negative. Okay. There's one more thing we're going to label. We'll come back to the graph once we talk about ordered pairs. We'll come back here in a second, but there's one more thing we need to label, which is this point right here in the middle. What point is right here in the middle? The origin. And what would the ordered pair of that point be? Origin, and then 0, 0. All right. Any questions on anything we've labeled so far? So we've got X and Y. We've got our 4 quadrants. And then we've got our origin. All right. So I'm going to slide down, and we have one definition that we need to do right here. And then we have 2 examples we're going to do here. We're going to do this definition first. Okay. An ordered pair is a point, and then it's open parentheses, X, comma, Y. So our ordered pairs always go X and then Y. So an ordered pair is a point X, comma, Y. Your X tells you how far right or left, because that's on our X axis. The Y tells you how far up or down. So X tells you how far right or left. Y tells you how far up or down. Okay. Everybody, here, I still see a couple pencils moving. Okay, we're going to go add one more thing in up with our graph at the top, and then we've got 2 examples down here. So now that we know in our ordered pair which is positive, which is negative, or sorry, which is X, which is Y, now we're going to go add one more thing with our quadrants up here. So in quadrant 1, we're always going to go positive on the X-axis and then positive on the Y-axis. So that means our X is always going to be positive and our Y is always going to be positive. So I want you to draw an ordered pair, but instead of numbers inside, we're going to just do plus, comma, plus, because we know both X and Y will be positive. So right under where we wrote quadrant 1. Okay, then go to quadrant 2. Quadrant 2, our X is always going to be negative because we always go left, but then our Y is positive because we go up. So left and up is going to be negative, comma, positive. So everything in quadrant 2 would have a negative X value and a positive Y value. All right, scooting down, quadrant 3 has both a negative X value and a negative Y value. So it's negative, negative. These all look like weird smiley faces. This one looks like a sleeping smiley face, kind of. And then quadrant 4 is positive on the X-axis because we go to the right, but then we go down. So it's right and down. Positive, comma, negative. And that one looks like it's winking. This one looks like it's winking the other eye. right, so that's the one thing I wanted to add in is our quadrants getting labeled when we're positive, when we're negative. So we've now got everything labeled on our basic graph, so we know all of the pieces of our graph, and we've defined what an ordered pair is. Down at the bottom, we have 2 examples, and each example has multiple points on it, multiple parts, but there's 2 examples total. So moving down, example 1, we are going to be identifying the coordinates of each point. So these flaps, I'm going to fold down that top flap. These flaps, this one says identify coordinates. So if we already have a point and we need to identify what the coordinates are of it, these are lettered. So we can just find a letter and then label and then figure out what the ordered pair of that letter is. So the first one is A. So A is over here in the bottom right. So to get to A, we always start at the origin and we always do our X first. So from the origin to get to A, we go right and then down. We go right 1, 2, 3, and we go down 4. So that means our ordered pair is 3, comma, negative 4. Okay. For B, we start at 0, 0, and we are going to go left and then up. So we go left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1. So that's negative 4, and then positive 1. Is left and up, so we have to go left negative, because left is always negative, and we go up 1. Okay. C is up here in the top right corner of our graph, so it's in quadrant 1. So we go right and then up. So we go right 2, that's going to be a positive 2 is our X value. And we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So C is 2, comma 5. And then help me out now that we've done 3 of them. How far, so to get to point D down here, how far left do we have to go? We go 3 left, and since it's to the left, it's negative. You got it. So negative 3. And then we go down. Is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you're right. I just can't count. Down 5, so it's negative 3, negative 5. So our first number always tells us how far left or right to go. And our second number tells us how far up or down to go. Right and up are always positive. Down and left are always negative. Any questions about those 3 before we do the 2 weird ones on here? Okay. The last 2, I call them the weird ones because they're on the axis. So E is right here. To get to E, we start at 0, 0, and we go to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means our X value is 5. Then how far up or down do we go, Annabelle? You just said it. 0. Yep. So we do not go up or down at all. So our ordered pair is 5, 0. So we go 5 in the positive direction on the x-axis. We go up 0. Okay. And then the last one is F, which is right here. F is on our y-axis. So for this one, we don't go left or right at all because we start at 0, 0. We don't go left or right at all. So that means our first number is 0. And then we just go up 2. So 0, comma 2. The most confusing ordered pairs for people are the ones that are on either our x or y axis. So remember, start at 0, 0, and then where do we go from there? Left or right is always our first number. Okay, questions right now. Right, we're going to move on over to example 2 then. So I'm going to scoot over to here. Example 2, the outside says graph coordinates. We are now given the coordinates. We have to put them on the graph. So this is the other thing that you need to be able to do with coordinates. So these ones are labeled G through L. Once we put them on the graph, we'll just write the letter next to them. So -5, -2. We start at 0, 0, and then essentially it's just like a roadmap. It tells us which way we're going. So -5 means I go left 5 because the first number always tells me left or right. And then I go down 2 because it's -2. I'm going to put a dot right here. And then I'm going to put a G by it. So when I look back at my notes, I know that that's point G. I'm going to check off that I've done that one. H is 4, 3. Since both of these numbers are positive, I know that's going to be in quadrant 1. 4, 3 means I start at 0, 0. I go right 4, up 3. I'm going to label that with an H. Zero, -4. I start at 0, 0, and then I'm going to go straight down 4 because I don't go left or right any. Because the 0 tells me don't go left or right any, and I just go straight down 4. That will be right here on my axis, and that is I. J, we go -1, 5. So that means I go left 1, up 5. Left 1, up 5. That is J. K is 5, -3. So I go right 5, down 3, since that 3 is negative. That is K. And then my last point is L. For L, I go -2, 0. So starting at 0, 0, -2 tells me to go left 2, and then I go up 0. So it's right here on the axis, and that is L. Okay, questions right now. All right, let me zoom out here. This is going to get glued in after your quick write pocket or your quick write page. So this is not 2.1 notes, but it is going to be part of your notebook check. We're just not calling it 2.1 because there's not a half-page normal assignment with it. There's a different assignment that goes with it, but it's not what we're used to. That's why we're not calling it what we're used to. So this is going to get glued in. We made a quick write page. Unit 2 quick write, which we haven't done anything on. We just made it for later. Go ahead and put this on the next page, okay? So go ahead and glue on the back, and it fits perfectly sideways, okay? While you guys do that, I'm going to look at who's got what done and figure out what our next step is going to be. After the quick write page. Yeah, so leave your quick write page because we're going to start doing quick writes on it tomorrow. This goes right after.